Shortly after we bought our new house, I was working in the yard one day and our neighbor came over and asked if I would like to walk the property with him. He showed me where the property stakes were and how the line went. He talked about how he intended to continue to live within those boundaries and how we could live together in the shared places where it got kind of fuzzy, particularly when it came to mowing the lawns. He showed me where the imaginary boundaries are that the township had with our property, and then he took some time just to explain the lay of the land, literally, and where some of the issues may be that I might encounter with water flow and other things. It was a very helpful morning. There was nothing malicious in it. He was simply there to inform and instruct. As Robert Frost said, good fences make good neighbors, and good boundaries are a healthy way to start a relationship. And oh, do I have a good neighbor. I couldn't ask for more. But it started with a healthy beginning. It's in that light that we approach God's gift of the law, the Torah, or the shorthand version, the Ten Commandments, to that wandering people of God in the wilderness with Moses. They are a people searching for an identity, searching to be a people. And so the first thing that God does is establish healthy boundaries in giving the law. Relationships, boundaries between God and us, and relationships between us and our neighbors. He reminds us that if we maintain those relationships, we establish good health in community. These are not meant to be punitive, but instructive and healthy. It is why throughout the Old Testament, and even as Jesus uses the image in the New Testament, the vineyard is always hedged. There is a fence around it that God has put there for the protection of the people that live inside. That was how the law was seen. It was the fence that kept people safe and kept chaos out. And God is very clear at different times in the Old Testament, and Jesus hints at that in his parables, that when the hedge gets removed, all chaos breaks out. That was true then, and it is obviously true these days. When we fail to practice good, healthy boundaries with God and with one another, we get the trouble we ask for, and it's chaotic. Martin Luther introduces each of his explanations to the Ten Commandments with these words: we are to fear and love God. That bothered me when I first began to study the Ten Commandments. How do you fear, or why do you fear, a God of grace? A God whose primary relationship with you is not judgment, but love and acceptance. What does it mean to fear that God? In my struggles, I remembered the relationship I had with my father. I feared him greatly. Not because he was the disciplinarian. In fact, he never raised his voice or his hand to me in our life together. And yet I feared him far more than my mother. But the nature of my fear was in disappointing him, of letting him down, of being less than he saw me as. That scared me. And perhaps that's the attitude we need to recapture. What does it mean to fear letting God and our neighbor down? All too often we look at those Ten Commandments as having to do with somebody else, maybe we need to start with us. How have we let God and our neighbor down these days? And how can we recapture those good and healthy boundaries of respect and integrity? These are questions we need to ponder these days. How do we build back up the hedges? I don't think it's by putting the Ten Commandments in courthouses and schools, but rather writing them on our hearts and living them out on our journey. What if our fear of neighbor is not that they have a gun or that they will inflict violence upon us? But what if our fear of neighbor is letting them down? Would that make a difference in how you live this day? It's something to think about as we make that journey together. Bless now, O God, the journey that all your people make, the path through noise and silence, the way of give and take. The trail is found in desert and winds the mountain round, then leads beside still waters the road where faith is found. Bless sojourners and pilgrims who share this winding way. Your hope burns through the terrors, your love sustains the day. We yearn for holy freedom, while often we are bound. Together we are seeking the road where faith is found. Divine eternal lover, you meet us on the road. We wait for lands of promise where milk and honey flow. But waiting not for places, you meet us all around. Our covenant is written on roads as faith is found.